Their fury burns like a wildfire they can no longer control, consuming them from within as they watch you remain unshaken, untouched by their desperate schemes. Every calculated move, every fabricated lie, every attempt to shatter your peace was met with a quiet strength they never anticipated. They unleashed every weapon in their arsenal, sowing discord, spreading falsehoods, sending others to challenge your resolve, even attempting to mimic what they could never possess. Yet their efforts crumbled against the shield of your unwavering faith and divine protection. With each failure, their frustration grew, for they could not grasp the truth. What is divinely ordained cannot be undone by human hands. Your calm, your resilience, your unyielding light became their greatest defeat. Now they are left to watch in bitter silence as the very union they sought to destroy stands stronger than ever, a testament to its unbreakable foundation. Their lies, their deceit, their calculated manipulations, all weapons wielded with precision, have crumbled under the weight of truth. They thought they had mastered the art of deception, confident in their ability to unravel what was divinely woven. But in their arrogance, they underestimated the power of authenticity, trust, and a bond forged by something far greater than their schemes. What they believed was their triumph has become their undoing, as they are now mere spectators to a union that not only survived their attacks, but thrived in spite of them. They were masters of manipulation, weaving their words like a spider spins its web, delicate, deliberate, and deadly. They spoke with calculated charm, planting seeds of discord in the hearts of those around you, nurturing them with lies until they blossomed into thorns of suspicion. Every story they twisted, every emotion they exploited, was a move in their carefully orchestrated game. They didn't just aim to break bonds, they sought to unravel the very fabric of unity, turning allies into adversaries and trust into uncertainty. Their strategy was simple yet sinister: divide and conquer, leaving chaos in their wake while they watched from the shadows, convinced of their victory. But what they didn't foresee was that truth, no matter how deeply buried, always finds its way to the surface. They thrived on the idea of destruction, feeding off the fractures they tried to create, hoping to watch your foundation crumble beneath their meddling. They wanted trust to erode into doubt, love to curdle into bitterness, and harmony to shatter into chaos. For a fleeting moment, it almost seemed like they had won. The air grew thick with unspoken words, and the once effortless connection felt strained. Hesitation crept into places where certainty once lived, and the silence between you became a breeding ground for unease. They reveled in the shift, their smirks betraying their satisfaction as they waited for the collapse they were so desperate to see. But what they didn't understand was that, even in the quietest moments of uncertainty, the roots of something real and unbreakable were still holding strong, waiting to bloom again. They believed their victory was assured, but they failed to grasp the essence of a connection rooted in the divine. It doesn't crumble under pressure, it thrives within it. What they intended to fracture only fused tighter. What they sought to extinguish ignited into an unstoppable blaze. Their lies, meant to divide, instead became the catalyst for a deeper understanding, a journey into the core of truth. The cracks they tried to create only revealed the unyielding strength of the foundation beneath. As the veil of deception unraveled, their carefully spun web fell apart, thread by thread. Panic replaced their smug confidence as they realized their efforts had backfired spectacularly. Instead of sowing destruction, they became the unintentional architects of clarity, the reason two souls discovered the depth and resilience of their bond. What was meant to destroy became the very thing that illuminated the unbreakable power of love and truth. Now they sit in the wreckage of their own delusions, the weight of reality settling heavily upon them. Their power was nothing more than a mirage, their control a fleeting shadow, and their supposed victory a dream that dissolved the moment truth began to shine. They misjudged the strength of what they sought to destroy, overestimating their influence and underestimating the resilience forged by love and truth. Their schemes, once so carefully crafted, now lie in ruins, and they are left with nothing but the bitter taste of their own failure. They were never the architects of this story, never the force they imagined themselves to be. They were merely a passing storm, loud and chaotic, but powerless to topple a foundation built to endure and thrive in the face of anything. That realization is a poison they can't escape, seeping into every corner of their mind. They thrived on your reaction, craved it like oxygen, and every move they made was a calculated attempt to break you. Every whisper, every fabricated story, every carefully laid snare, it was all part of their grand design to see you unravel. They wanted your anger to erupt, your tears to fall, your voice to tremble with frustration. They studied you like a predator studies prey, searching for cracks in your armor, waiting for the perfect moment to exploit your vulnerabilities. But now, as their efforts fall flat and their traps lie untouched, they are left suffocating in the silence of their own failure, powerless against your strength. They thought they had mastered you, thought they could control the narrative by pressing the bruises they believed would make you shatter. They tried relentlessly, pushing, provoking, waiting for the storm they were certain would come. But instead, you gave them nothing. No tears to collect, no anger to manipulate, no words they could weaponize. Just calm, unshakable silence. And in that silence, their illusion crumbled. Their power had never been their own. It was borrowed, stolen from the chaos they tried to create in you. Without your reaction, they were left exposed, small, powerless, and desperate. They needed you to break so they could feel whole, but instead, your refusal to engage became the mirror that forced them to see the emptiness of their own control. Their entire plan hinged on your participation, on you stepping into the chaos they so carefully crafted. But you didn't. You broke the cycle. You refused to be the puppet in their show, refused to dance to the rhythm of their destruction. You denied them the energy they so desperately sought, and in that denial, their carefully constructed facade began to crack. At first, they mistook your stillness for strategy, convinced you were lying in wait, preparing to retaliate. They braced themselves for the storm they were certain would come. But the storm never arrived. Instead, there was only silence, a silence so sharp it cut through their illusions, leaving them exposed. It wasn't weakness, it was power. Your silence forced them to face themselves, to sit alone with the mess they had created, with no one else to blame, no reaction to twist, and no distraction to shield them from the truth of their own undoing. They were forced to confront a reality they had long denied. They were never in control. The more you withheld, the more frantic their attempts became. They tried everything. New traps disguised as kindness, hollow apologies meant to disarm you, and emotional triggers designed to pull you back into their chaos. They spun more lies, louder and more desperate, clinging to the hope that something, anything, would make you crack. But all they were met with was silence. And that silence, more piercing than any retort, unraveled them completely. It stripped away their power, leaving them exposed to their own insecurities. Now they're spiraling, lost in confusion, consumed by frustration, enraged by their own impotence. Every move they made to control you only tightened the noose around their own delusions. And now, as they sit in the aftermath, tangled in the web of their own manipulation, they are left questioning everything, every lie, every scheme, every whispered deception, until even their own reality feels like a fragile illusion. The trick worked, at least for a while. They had everyone exactly where they wanted, doubtful, disoriented, unsure of what was real and what wasn't. The lies were carefully crafted, the manipulation meticulous. They sowed seeds of mistrust, watering them with fear and feeding them with insecurity until the bonds that once held strong began to fray. People pulled away, not out of malice, but out of a belief that they were protecting themselves. The narrative had been flipped. They became the victim, and you, the villain, in their carefully orchestrated story. For a fleeting moment, It seemed like they had succeeded, like their deception had cemented itself as truth. But illusions are fragile things, and the cracks were already beginning to show. The thing about the truth is that it's relentless. It doesn't stay buried for long. No matter how deeply the Karmic tried to hide it, the cracks began to widen. Their lies, once so carefully constructed, started to unravel, each thread exposing the emptiness beneath. The mask they wore so confidently began to slip, revealing glimpses of the deception they worked so hard to conceal. At first it was subtle, a strange inconsistency, a contradiction that lingered too long in the mind, a quiet whisper from within that said, "Something feels off." But as time passed, the whispers grew louder, and the signs became impossible to ignore. Patterns emerged, repeating like a broken record. The same games, the same manipulations, the same toxic cycles looping endlessly. And then came the realization, sharp and undeniable. The Karmic wasn't a protector. Their concern was never real. It was control, wrapped in the guise of care, a weapon disguised as love. And once seen, it couldn't be unseen. The foundation of lies they had once stood on had completely collapsed, leaving them face to face with the undeniable truth. Clarity hit like a tidal wave, washing away every illusion they had clung to. They could finally see how deeply they had been manipulated, how their trust had been weaponized, and how close they came to losing something irreplaceable, all for the sake of someone else's selfish agenda. Regret settled in their chest like a heavy weight, followed by a slow burning anger, not at you, but at themselves, for ignoring the signs, for silencing their intuition, for allowing the lies to dictate their choices. They replayed every moment, every red flag, every gut feeling they dismissed, wondering how they had let themselves be so blind. But once the truth is revealed, it's impossible to go back. The Karmic felt their grip slipping, their control unraveling. No more illusions to weave, no more lies to shield them, no more distractions to hold the truth at bay. The person they tried so desperately to manipulate was slipping away, and for the first time, they realized they were powerless to stop it. Stop right there, yes, you. This isn't for everyone, and that's okay. But if you feel it, if it stirs something deep inside you, something unshakable, you'll know this is meant for you. This is for the ones who never quite belonged, the ones who see through the illusions, who've been told to shrink, to silence themselves, to fit into a mold that was never made for them. They've been misunderstood, cast aside, yet they remain unyielding. They are the fire in the cold, the chaos that breaks false order, the unbreakable, the unstoppable, the untouchable. While the world chases its own tail, they carve their own road, not for recognition, not for validation, but because it's who they are at their core. This is for the ones who take the pain meant to destroy them and forge it into power, who transform betrayal into wisdom and darkness into light. They carry a strength that can't be taught, only earned. If this resonates with you, maybe it's a sign. It's time to find the others like you, the ones who don't just survive, but rise. The Lumination Inner Order exists for them, for you. A place where the black sheep, the betrayed, the unrelenting, come together to turn their scars into weapons and their truth into a force no one can deny. They can feel it slipping through their fingers now, the control, the lies, the illusion of power they once clung to so desperately. What was once a carefully crafted facade is now crumbling piece by piece. At first, they were untouchable, or so they thought, confident, smug, basking in the false glow of their so-called brilliance. They believed they were untouchable, the ultimate puppeteer, orchestrating chaos while others danced to their tune. Every manipulation, every twisted truth, every carefully planted seed of doubt fed their ego, solidifying their belief that they were always one step ahead. But arrogance breeds blindness, and they never saw the cracks forming beneath their feet. Slowly, the lies they spun began to unravel, one thread at a time. The people they thought they controlled started to question, to see through the smoke and mirrors. The web they wove so tightly is now falling apart, and for the first time, they feel something unfamiliar creeping in: fear. Fear of being exposed, fear of losing the power they built their entire identity upon. The house of cards they so carefully constructed is collapsing, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. At first, they brushed it off. A fluke, a momentary lapse, nothing to worry about. But the cracks didn't stop. They deepened. The questions grew louder, the doubts harder to dismiss. The stories they had woven so carefully began to unravel, thread by thread. The person they had spent so much time breaking down, controlling, and manipulating was no longer blind to the truth. Slowly but surely, they began to piece things together, to see the patterns, to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. And now, the manipulator is spiraling. Panic sets in as their once flawless tactics fail them. The lies that once spread with ease now land with a dull thud, going nowhere. The control they once wielded like a weapon is slipping, no matter how desperately they cling to it. Their power is fading, their grip loosening, and for the first time, they are forced to face the one thing they never prepared for: losing. And so their desperation grows louder, more chaotic. They flail in every direction, grasping at anything that might restore their crumbling facade. Their fake apologies become more frequent, their words dripping with insincerity, hoping to stir even the faintest trace of doubt. They offer hollow acts of kindness, grand gestures designed to appear selfless, but reeking of manipulation. When that fails, they turn to chaos, manufacturing crises, weaponizing guilt, twisting emotions into knots to regain control. They cry victim, putting on a show for anyone who will watch, hoping to rewrite the story one last time. But none of it works. The person they sought to control has seen too much, felt too much, and now stands unshaken, immune to the once powerful tactics. The blindfold is gone, the lies stripped of their power, the karmic is left exposed, standing in the wreckage of their own deceit, watching helplessly as their victim walks away, not just in body, but in every sense of the word, free, untouchable. And for the first time, the karmic is forced to face the truth. There's nothing left to manipulate, no strings left to pull. Everything they tried to hold on to is gone, slipping through their fingers for good. They thought they could tear it apart, that their schemes and shadows could overpower something so pure, so unshakable. They believed that with enough lies, enough poison, and enough calculated destruction, they could unravel what was never theirs to touch. They underestimated the strength of what they were up against, the kind of bond that defies logic, that transcends the chaos of the world. They thought their games could rewrite destiny, but they were wrong. This connection wasn't built on fragile ground. It was forged in something eternal, something untouchable, something written in the stars long before their interference. And now, as their efforts crumble and their illusions fade, they are left to face the truth. You cannot destroy what was always meant to endure. This was the kind of connection that thrived in the face of adversity, that grew stronger with every trial, every storm meant to tear it apart. Every lie they told, every seed of doubt they sowed, only served to deepen the trust between the two. They tried to fracture it with deception, but truth has a way of rising, unshaken and undeniable. They mistook silence for surrender, distance for defeat, but they failed to understand the nature of something so divine. This bond wasn't weakened by the chaos, it was fortified by it. Every scheme, every manipulation, every attack was met with resilience, with faith that refused to falter. What they didn't realize was that the storms they sent weren't breaking the connection. They were polishing it, stripping away everything false and leaving behind something pure, something unbreakable. This was no ordinary bond. It was a union forged in fire, designed to withstand anything, even the weight of their relentless attempts to destroy it. And now, as they stand amidst the ruins of their own making, the weight of the truth they tried so desperately to deny crashes down on them. They were never the author of this story, never the force that could rewrite what was divinely scripted. Their role was fleeting, their presence nothing more than a passing shadow in the light of something eternal. The irony stings like a blade. Their relentless attempts to destroy only illuminated the strength of what they sought to break. Every lie, every scheme, every act of sabotage became proof of the unshakable bond they could never touch. The more they fought, the more divine protection wrapped itself around this connection, shielding it from harm. And now, in the clarity of their failure, it is undeniable. They were never the architects of destiny, only agents of chaos, and the truth has left them powerless. And now, they are left as mere spectators to a truth they can no longer deny. The very thing they sought to destroy not only survived but flourished, standing taller and brighter than ever before. They didn't just lose control, they lost the illusion that they ever had it to begin with. This was never just about two souls. It was about a purpose far greater, a divine plan far beyond their reach. No amount of lies, schemes, or interference could alter what was already written in the stars. They tried to play the role of fate's author, but they were nothing more than a fleeting footnote in a story destined for greatness. Now, as they watched the union, they tried to rise unbroken, unstoppable, and divinely protected. They are left with nothing but the emptiness of their own failure. Let it be known, no force can break what is divinely mine, and no interference can touch what was always meant to endure. Desperate people cling to control like a drowning person clings to air, and now the Karmic is gasping, suffocating under the weight of their crumbling illusions. Everything they built, the lies, the schemes, the carefully crafted narrative, is unraveling faster than they can hold it together. The person they once controlled is breaking free, their eyes opening to the truth. And with every step toward clarity, the Karmic's grip weakens. The connection they tried so hard to sever stands untouchable, fortified by truth and divine protection, and it terrifies them. They never thought this day would come, the day their manipulation would lose its power, the day their lies would be exposed, the day they would be left with nothing but the emptiness of their own deceit. They always believed they were the puppet master, always 2 steps ahead, but now they're out of moves. And when manipulators lose control, they don't surrender quietly. They lash out, desperate to salvage even a fragment of the power they once held. But desperation is a losing game, and the truth will always win. They believe that one last act of desperation might be enough to reclaim the control slipping through their fingers. Perhaps it's a fabricated crisis, a sudden catastrophe that demands immediate attention, pulling their victim back into their orbit. They'll cry out for help, feign helplessness, and paint themselves as the victim, hoping to reignite the sympathy and care they can no longer command. Or maybe they'll turn to manipulation cloaked in vulnerability, claiming they've changed, that they've seen the error of their ways, and that this time will be different. They'll apologize with tears in their eyes, beg for forgiveness, and weave together just enough truth to make their lies believable. If that fails, they'll pivot again, weaponizing the past, twisting memories, and reminding their victim of the fleeting moments that once felt genuine. And when all else fails, they'll lash out with venom, spreading bigger lies, twisting deeper wounds, and doing whatever it takes to plant seeds of doubt. But every act of desperation only exposes their true nature further, and the harder they try, the more obvious it becomes. They're not fighting for love or redemption. They're fighting to preserve the illusion of power they've already lost. They will craft one last desperate illusion, a carefully constructed facade meant to tug at the heart and cloud the mind, hoping to stall the inevitable just a little longer. They know that when their grip finally slips, they'll be left with nothing, and the emptiness terrifies them. This is why their final act will be their most frantic, their most manipulative, filled with hollow promises and empty words designed to reignite the control they've already lost. But it won't matter. The truth has already been revealed, and the illusions they relied on have crumbled beyond repair. The person they sought to control now sees them for what they truly are, and once the veil of deception is lifted, it can never be lowered again. Let them try, let them scheme and lash out in one last desperate attempt. It changes nothing. What's meant to happen is already in motion, unstoppable, and divinely aligned. They were never part of the greater destiny. They were merely a detour, a fleeting obstacle on the path to something far greater than they could ever comprehend. And now, with the deception stripped away and the karmic's lies rendered powerless, the manipulation lies in ruins, and the one they sought to imprison stands free, untethered, and unshaken. But freedom brings its own challenge, and the true question emerges: what will you choose? Because this was never just about uncovering the karmic's schemes, it was about bringing you to this very moment, a moment of undeniable clarity, where the path ahead is yours alone to decide. With the interference gone and the truth fully revealed, you are no longer bound by confusion or doubt. The crossroad stretches before you, and the choice is yours to make. Will you step into the destiny that has been waiting for you, or will you hesitate, letting the echoes of the past hold you back? The universe has cleared the way, but only you can take the next step. You begin to rebuild piece by piece what was always destined to endure. The bond was tested in ways unimaginable, stretched to its limits, bruised by betrayal, and nearly lost beneath the weight of manipulation. But it never broke. It weathered the storm, standing resilient against everything meant to destroy it. Perhaps this was the purpose all along, to strip away the illusions, to expose the cracks, and to reinforce what was fragile. Through the trials, it was refined, strengthened, and transformed into something unbreakable, something that no lie, no deception, and no force could ever destroy again. What remains now is pure, unshakable, and ready to stand the test of time. Perhaps the separation was never meant to signify an ending, but to illuminate the truth, to test the strength of what was real and expose the cracks that needed healing. With the karmic gone, the question remains: is it time to return to what was always destined, or is it time to walk forward alone? Because this journey was never just about unmasking the karmic, it was about uncovering everything hidden in the shadows. The karmic wasn't the only one who needed to be revealed, so did the person you were connected to. Maybe they allowed the interference, maybe they believed the lies too easily, maybe they lacked the strength to fight for the truth when it mattered most. But this wasn't just their lesson, it was yours. It was about understanding that even a connection written in the stars does not justify accepting betrayal, doubt, or disloyalty. It was about realizing your worth, about knowing that love, true, divine love, can only thrive where trust and respect are unwavering. Because sometimes, even when a connection feels destined, even when it's written in the stars, the lesson takes precedence over the reunion. Maybe it was never about fixing what was broken or retracing steps to what once was. Maybe it was about discovering the strength that was always within you, the strength to stand alone, to rise above the chaos, and to reclaim the power you forgot you had. Before the karmic, before the lies, before the storm, you were whole. And now, after everything, you still are, unshaken, unbroken, complete. The illusions are gone, the interference silenced, and the path ahead is yours to choose. No more manipulation, no more strings attached. Just you and the power that has always been yours. The question now isn't about what was or what could have been, it's about what you will create moving forward. The choice is yours, and it always has been. What will you do with this freedom? They reveled in their false victory, convinced their schemes had succeeded, that their lies were impenetrable, their manipulation masterful. They believed they had dismantled something unbreakable, reduced it to ruins, and for a fleeting moment, they celebrated their illusion of triumph. But now, the truth stands in stark contrast to their delusions. They are left with nothing, their power crumbled, their control shattered, and the person they sought to dominate has slipped beyond their grasp. The web of lies they spun has unraveled, leaving them exposed and powerless. And the bond they swore they could destroy? It remains unyielding, stronger than ever, untouchable in its resilience, a testament to the fact that no amount of deceit can conquer what is truly meant to endure. In their obsession, they poured every fragment of themselves into chaos, every plan meticulously crafted, every move driven by desperation, every effort aimed at bending fate to their will. But in the end, what did they achieve? Nothing. They lost everything they sought to control, everything they clung to so tightly, slipping through their fingers like sand. Because they were never the architect of the story, never the one holding the pen. They believed they could command destiny, rewrite what was already written, but they were only ever a pawn in a game far greater than themselves. And now, as they stand in the ruins of their own making, empty and powerless, you rise. You walk away unscathed, stronger, freer, and more certain than ever that their grasp was never as strong as they believed. Destiny was always yours to claim. No power in the universe can derail what is destined for you. No lie can weaken the truth of who you are. No betrayal can sever the connection to your purpose, and no interference can rewrite the script written in the stars. They believed their victory was certain, that their schemes would prevail, but in their arrogance, they failed to see the unyielding force of destiny. What they thought was their triumph was, in truth, their undoing. While they are left with emptiness, you stand unshaken, grounded in your truth, and moving forward on the path that was always yours to claim.